RTD Live Talk. It's about 10:40, an extra late night chat. But I figured I would get on and find out what is going on and what have I missed. And more importantly, talk about President Trump's ultimatum for the most part that Putin or Russia has to leave Venezuela. I'm wondering how that's going to play out because as of now, he said all options are on the table. And my question for you guys, for those that are listening, and I'll give it a second as more people chime in. But what are those options that President Trump is referring to? What are those options that are on the table? That's what I'm curious to find out. So with that being the case, I want to pick your brains. What do you think those options are that President Trump was referring to when he mentioned that all options are on the table? So I actually just heard or just listened to this little snippet here of President Trump yesterday in the Oval Office with Juan Guaido's wife, a 26-year-old journalist or whatever. And I'm thinking like that doesn't really sit well to me. I don't know about how you might feel about that, but here we have a self-appointed, self-proclaimed president of a nation, and there's a lot of issues happening with him right now in his own country as far as him being under investigation. It looks like one of the attorney generals or ministers or whatever basically expelled him from being able to be a political figure for 15 years. And all of a sudden there's $100,000 that was used for his travel expenses, this last couple of months. And they're wondering where did that money come from based upon his salary as a political figure in Venezuela. That's well beyond what they get paid. So a lot of questions there that he's under investigation. So I'm sure that won't play out well. But with that being the case, as always, give a second, find out who's tuning in this evening. Won't be long, but just wanted to check in and see what's going on. Let me see, we got Scott here. We got Ann 411. Russia been seen flying over our country. And I saw something about some I don't know, so we're sure it's some bombers or something of that nature along the coast. Was it directly over our country or along the coastline? I thought it was the coastline. Clint, howdy. It says, unless I need to speak first and listen in the Omniverse. Omnibone gave his own, he named your own universe, Omniverse. Guaido was a puppet. He is a U.S. citizen, illegal to be president of another country. Definitely a puppet. We all know that. And so the question will be, what will happen to Juan Guaido, whatever is how you pronounce that, now that it appears that there's Russian presence in Venezuela. So it's good to say with two huge airplanes having touched base in Russia over the last couple of days, who was on those airplanes, what are they doing there? Those are all things that I'm sure the U.S. is quite nervous about because that thwarts their plan. Because I'm under the impression that Putin and the Russian government decided to send troops or whoever's on that plane at this current moment because they were probably anticipating or expecting some U.S. intervention via military or some type of possible false flag type of event in the next couple of days or around this time frame. So once again, it seems that Russia always seems to be one or two steps ahead of the motions or the reactions that we have towards whoever we're engaged in, whether it's in Syria. And so once Bashir al-Assad, invited Russia into the country, lo and behold, we had problems with that. And then now it looks like those S-300s are in Venezuela. They've been there for a while, apparently. But now that Putin and his presence is there now, what are those options that are on the table is what I'm trying to get at. And so I want to pick your guys' brains. What do you think those options are? Because I'm thinking like, okay, Russia, they're under sanctions already by the USA. So what? Stricter sanctions? I mean, what does Trump really have in mind? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because clearly, I would imagine he's not going to attempt to do something military-wise while Russia's there, because that really puts us in danger with the country of Russia as well as all their allies, and that could spell trouble down the line. So I figure by the time we get done with tonight's chat, we're going to have some options on the table ourselves. It says, Juan looks like Obama's clone. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Says, yeah, something I hope they stay away from Yellowstone because Putin has warned us before about it. Yellowstone, what is that about? Spirit King, I wonder where the next full-scale war will start first, Israel or Venezuela. Then we got the Golden Heights situation. I just got caught up on that today as well. So that's one of the things where man, as I watch, this article here, it shows President Trump sitting in the office with a young lady, and they got the whole press there. They got the vice president there, all his administrative cabinet there, and they're sitting there with a 26-year-old Venezuelan woman, the husband of Juan Guaido, and she's saying that she fears for his life. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, how bad has it gotten to where we've allowed it has a feeling that we're supporting, we're supporting direct opposition to a democratically established government there, however it was, fraudulent or not. But there's a 26-year-old woman of a self-imposed U.S.-backed president in the White House, and they're giving her the respect of like a real first lady type of feel, and it just smells bad. It's nothing good about what's going on, man, with all this, and it's really, to me, really making Trump look really bad at this point, because for all those people who have hope in him and thinking he's going to be the person to drain the swamp and all that stuff he claimed he's going to do, by him writing his narrative of Juan Guaido, him endorsing Juan Guaido, and having a 26-year-old wife of this guy in the White House, and showing her the respect as if she's an actual first lady of a real country. And it looks like Juan Guaido is not even accepted in his own country right now by the political figures at that. And the only reason, in my opinion, he's able to even speak his mind the way he's doing it is because he probably has some U.S. bodyguard type people around him that has kept him safe thus far. So I question all this stuff even more now. And now that Russia's in there, a part of me is like, we'll see what happens with this. But a part of me is like, I'm gonna keep that to myself, just because I'm like, I'm gonna keep that to myself. But anyway, what else is going on out here? So I think Trump is setting up the D state for a fall. Marco Rubio was with McCain, creating ISIS. I think that he wants Pompeo and Marco Rubio out. I hope so, because as of right now, he's involved, he's entangled in all this. So if he's setting people up and trying to root out the bad guys type of thing, he's not looking too good, in my opinion, because he's playing right into what seems like, I hate saying it, the deep state narrative of cause confusion, present a solution, and then go in and be the problem solver all in one. So since Bolton and Rubio want war with Russia, they are insane. James Moore, 100%. And that's the thing. I don't think that we are capable of really going to war with a power such as Russia, just because I'm not too confident in, our technology, military wise, or for the most part, I don't know how strong and big our army is, because I know under the Obama administration, he gutted a lot of the military. Like he, defunded a lot of the military and fired countless generals and forced to resign. So all the true warriors that we had are probably retired now. So we're probably sitting on a bunch of younger, unexperienced, no real war type time experience under their belts type people that, I question it. I'm not too confident, man, in my own opinion. It says Florida voters are insane for voting for Marxist again. It says Mike, Yellowstone Park is a super volcano. That's a scientific term. If it blows, half the U.S. dies instantly. Spirit King. So yeah, I'm familiar with the whole Yellowstone Park situation, but the details of it, and if it blows, half the U.S. is dead instantly. So like, is it right now? Is it active, or is there some tremors over there or whatnot? I'm not too familiar with that. Don't happen to stay up on all that. It says Trump is riding the coattails of the deep state. Riding the coattails. That's not a good thing, because a lot of people believe in this guy, man. How are we going to endorse a self-proclaimed president? Man, that's 100%. That's a great thing. And then, once again, his wife is in the White House like the other day. And so Juan Guaido's been on Fox News heavily over the last couple of months, like telling his narrative, telling his story. And I'm thinking, like, here we have the mainstream news stories, mainstream news channels endorsing and encouraging and giving him a platform, in our country to come on and to share his narrative and his side of the story there, all from a paid and bought for type of narrative, which I'm thinking like, I don't think, I would imagine majority of the Venezuelan people don't accept him as a person that's really truly operating in the country's best interest. So we'll see, man. Spirit King says, speak, Mike. Let us know what's on your mind. what I was going to say is that a part of me is, I'm not anti. I'm not overly patriotic these days, just because of how washed down and dumbed down and bought and paid for everything seems to be in this country. And so the fact that Russia's presence is in Venezuela is one of the things where I'm not mad. I'm not like, because I don't think we have no real business being down there anyway. So the fact that it looks like Putin might be strategizing, and as I've always mentioned, even back when Obama was in office during live streams, is always Putin was, like a chess game. Putin was always one step ahead of everything Obama did. Every time Obama moved, Putin was already up, got you. And I don't doubt that's the case now with this small presence of 100 or so troops or how many ever people down there. But the thing is, now that Russia has established a presence down there, they're protecting their own interest. I think that's good for the Venezuelan people, because once again, I think that deters or slows down whatever was about to happen around this springtime, because I'm really believing that, Putin won up to the U.S. again, took that one move by sending some presence down there in an open format to where, it's known now that there's Russian presence there now. So now it makes it a different story, because you can't just go up and intervene and try to remove Maduro now, because he has the backing of another government that's probably equal caliber, if not stronger than, military-wise and technology-wise, I believe. So it's one of the things where I think Maduro has basically bought himself some time, just like President Assad in Syria is still in office right now, thanks to Putin. Because if Putin didn't go into Syria, we would be in Syria. The U.S. would have went through there, bombed it, destroyed everything, and put a puppet in there, like it seems to have happened in every other country where we've gone and invaded and destroyed, and what happens after that. So that's kind of what I was getting at, Spirit. James Moore said, I had an Army officer say today, it is for oil and gold only. He said, we can't beat Russia. James Moore. And that I agree with that very strongly. When it comes to a war, I'm just thinking, like, we haven't truly, to my knowledge, I could be wrong. If anybody out there knows, you got some stats and facts, let me know. But I don't think we really had a true tussle with another superpower type of nation in quite a while. Like we've established, what is it, 190 or 180 something Navy or Army bases around the world. So we've already positioned ourselves across this globe in a way to where we've deterred a lot of people from probably standing up to us. And for the most part, the U.S. has bullied every country on this planet, apart from Russia and China directly. They just sanctioned them and imposed trade tariffs and things of that nature, but they've never stood up toe for toe. And I think if it comes to that, I don't think we've never been tested like that in the last couple of decades of my lifetime. So I would imagine we may not be necessarily ready for the type of fight that might be waiting for us in regards to trying to beat Russia. So that's one thing of concern. But as always, I forgot to mention, if you guys want to call in, the phone lines are open, 1313-462-0027. I got the phone right here. Feel free to call in, let your voice be heard. I'll definitely make sure to get you on there. So if anybody want to call in, feel free to do so. The number's down below. If we can't win in Afghanistan, what the hell makes anyone think we can beat anyone else? Mike, good point. Yeah, man, we are not, we don't have a good track record these days of actually starting something and finishing it in a timely manner. Because to my knowledge, Afghanistan, I think we still got a presence there, and wherever we've gone, we still have a presence. And so, that right there won't be sustainable for long. It's all one big show. It is just plays on us all. They are all actors, including Trump, just so long as the agenda keeps on track with the plan. I agree 100%. And so I started off. Spirit King says, Mike, the Yellowstone volcano is asleep. However, it's way past its usual cycle, so it should be blowing the next 1,000 years or 10,000 years or so. But if Putin or someone else nukes it, you dead. You dead. Says America's used to knocking off weak regimes. They don't have the stomach for a real fight that Russia will put on them. 100%. And so, in reference to if people didn't have a chance to actually listen to that whole Trump giving basically saying Russia has to leave. Like, well, I mean, I'm not quite sure. How do you basically just come to the conclusion that Russia has to leave? Like, who are you to say Russia has to leave? And so I'm gonna play that in a second. And then also, he kept reiterating to the reporter that was asking him, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? All options are on the table. And he kept saying, all options are on the table. And so I'm going to play that right now, see if you guys can hear it for those that may not have heard it. I thought it was quite interesting. See if we can get some volume here. Give it a second, it's loading.
To get out.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday called on Russia to pull its military forces from Venezuela, days after a Russian government plane landed near Caracas carrying nearly 100 troops. The move prompted a vague warning from Trump.
Just so you understand, all options are open. All options are open, yeah.
All options open.
2 Russian Air Force planes carrying the soldiers landed on Saturday.
Mean? So let's touch on that a little bit. Anybody got any ideas of what those options can be? And so we know, I don't think he means war. I don't think he's gonna go down there and intentionally try to, get in direct combat with the Russian army or whatnot. So what are some of those options? We got sanctions. Anybody else got any guess out there of what those options could be? Because I'm trying to figure out what are all those options he was referring to. Because I'm thinking, like, apart from just more sanctions, it seems like the biggest option we've posed on the other countries are sanctions. So I'm trying to figure out what those options are, because if it's just sanctions, then that's not much anyway, because it looks like years and years ago, Russia and China decided to bypass all financial instruments, or as well as the vehicles that made those sanctions not as effective as they were intended to be. So I'm trying to figure out what type of options this guy is referring to. And so Black Wall Street says Russia spreading their military around a lot of countries, not only Russia, but China as well, especially in the continent of Africa, man. There's more Russian and Chinese presence than ever before, because they're investing in it, because that's all a part of that One Belt, One Road initiative that's underway. And so not many people realize that while all this stuff is happening here, Venezuela and the wall, whatever else is happening that is primarily mainstream news, underneath that, 1 or 2 layers beneath that, right now we have the complete infrastructure of a system that is being positioned to be the leading force of all international trade on the planet. And so just to take it to even further, the One Belt, One Road initiative, from what I'm gathering, from what I believe is being built right now, it is the next economy. It is the next world order, in a sense. That's how it's been laced out. And to show you how much it's gained momentum, here we have just, I think it was last week, Italy, a country that's in dire trouble. They're broke beyond broke, and they're tired of basically the debt that's been piled upon them by the whole EU, ECB experiment that's drained them dry. So they themselves are looking to join the One Belt, One Road initiative. So they signed 3 or 4 different type of agreements and whatnot to basically say that we're a part of this next world order that's under the way. And so at the end of the day, all the stuff right now with Venezuela, Maduro, these are all distractions from the next system, the next world order, as I keep mentioning, that's underway. And so I think more people should be concerned with, or should be just as concerned with, that next world order, because that next world order it does not include the dollar. And that's going to be the pain behind everything, because that entire One Belt, One Road, all the maritime stuff, everything is going to be done along that long strip of land will be done in some type of other currency, or gold standard, or something of that nature, to where that's going to make it very problematic for those that are holding dollars. So everything that we're experiencing, everything that's happening right now, all has to do with the position and status of the Federal Reserve note as a primary currency on the planet. So, and that's my opinion. And somebody let me know if you feel other words or whatever. But everything we're experiencing, every issue we have right now, it all links back to our national currency. And if that is the truth and that is the case, then all these other issues are just smoke and mirrors, because you should be focusing on the paper. the green paper. The green paper is what's going to be, as I keep mentioning, it's going to be the biggest liability in our lives down the line, because once that infrastructure is built, like I mentioned months and months and years ago, that once China decided to flip that switch of their partnership that they're in now, that new system will be underway. And this old system of us basically exporting debt notes and receiving people's goods gonna have to change, because who's gonna send those goods over here for just debt now? Nobody gonna want our debt no more. And if you saw that video I did earlier about how the U.S. may default on their debt, they've already, this is my opinion once again, I think the U.S. has already defaulted on the debt, and it started the moment the central bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, became our primary monetary issuer. Is the moment they defaulted on the money supply for the United States of America as well as the world. So it's just now it's about to just come to a screeching halt, in my opinion. But yet, that's just me. So James, what's up? It says Israeli Iron Domes in Miami, Birmingham, and Texas. The reason they fear missiles being fired from Venezuela. Domes, okay. What other options since the military stayed loyal? So I don't know, man. Like, the military stayed loyal, and so why I believe the military has stayed loyal to Maduro is because Maduro is the last linkage to the whole Hugo Chavez era. And so Maduro was a bought and paid for guy by Chavez or whatever. However he does what he do, that's between them and his people. So I'm thinking, like, the moment that Maduro leaves and someone else is brought in, like a Guaido or whoever else comes, there goes the entire Venezuelan culture for the last umpteen years that has been based upon socialism and all types of exclusion of foreign intervention from a deep state perspective / central banking debt-based model, even though they have it anyway, but they're doing it to themselves. I don't think it's necessarily a Rothschild-led bank, in my opinion, but I don't know. It says he's just talking, nothing to it. So Wade, you think he's just talking? So all those options on the table is just bluff, huh? Trump is the best. Trump is the greatest. West B. And so I'm neither against nor for. I'm just a spectator or a citizen that's involved in this and not quite sure exactly if it's a war that I want to be a part of. So I'm questioning whether or not Trump is really acting in the best interest of our country or on the behalf of some other individuals. Because once again, why all of a sudden now, this year, last 5 months now, has Trump become obsessed with, bringing democracy and a free world and food and water and shelter to the Venezuelan people? And they've been having issues for quite some time now. So it has me believing that it's a lot deeper than that. And if it is deeper than that, then he's aware of that. And that means he's in on it. So if Trump is in on something, I hope that he's playing chess pieces with somebody else so that he's planning on winning for the American people. Because right now, I'm not quite sure how this intervention or even this whole issue with us in Venezuela has anything to do with where we're currently at now and the problems we're having. It says, John, the migrants coming in are military-aged men. You ever think about that? Yeah, so I apologize for that. I did get a call, but it looks like I got a call while streaming as well. So I got Skype on both my things. So, yeah, let me figure out how to, I might have to pause this for a second so I can try to do something. Let me see what happens. Let me see what will happen if maybe I won't be able to do this. But try calling again. I'll see if I can get you on here because I forgot I got Skype on here as well. But anyway, we'll keep this thing moving. All right. I apologize. All right. Man, 1 second. All right. Thanks for calling. Who is this again? One more time. Sorry.
Tim, Colorado.
Tim from Colorado. How you doing, Tim? What's on your mind tonight, man?
Oh, not much. I just caught you a few minutes ago. I didn't hear the whole podcast, but I want to compliment you on how carefully you state your words so that you don't get your podcast demonetized or yanked.
Yeah, it's hard to try to keep it user friendly but yet speak my opinion. So yeah, I'm struggling with words to keep it below the radar, whatever the radar is, whatever that red line. I'm trying not to cross that red line. But thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You do a fantastic job, and I just want to thank you again for everything you do for humanity.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
and
it.
yeah, and you're dead on, man. I mean, I don't think there's anything you've talked about I can disagree with.
Yeah.
And you've had great people on, great guests on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
and
you.
You may not be a Mike Maloney, but you're up there, buddy.
Appreciate you, Tim. Thanks, man.
Okay, all right. You keep spreading the love, okay?
Yes, I will. Have a good night, babe.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Yeah. He said Mike Maloney. And speaking of guests, real quick on a side note, for those that had a chance to watch last night's stream, if you joined us for the stream, what are your thoughts on Mr. Nando Acosta, the gentleman who joined us to give me a little rundown of some of the political candidates? I think he did a good job of sharing his thoughts and his experience from a political standpoint. So let me know in the chat, man, what you guys think of Mr. Nando. We definitely had a good little chat. James, man, I appreciate that. And so definitely, I want to have Nando on again, and especially we got the whole primary situation coming up, and so he's going to be heavily in tune with that. So it's impossible for me to cover the political scene, keep my eyes on the monetary scene, and everything else. So I want to try to find some very intellectual, smart people that can, keep their ass to the streets and come back and help educate and keep everybody glued in. So says Mr. Ofang, says your guest was good, Mike. Appreciate that, man. So yeah. So Mike Bruce, if you don't mind, give me your opinion, man. Go watch last night's stream a little bit. Check it out. Let me know, and just leave a comment in that video. And so the goal is, as I mentioned, I'm reaching out to content creators to find people that want to get on and share their version of the truth and basically share their opinion. So that's the goal. And so that with that being the case, we left off talking about options. And so we know sanctions is one. I don't think military will be an option, but Trump talking about we got options. All options are on the table. I've heard that a lot now. It's kind of like Trump throws out the words, all options are on the table, in a similar way as President Obama always talked about a red line. You guys remember that? Like, I think when supposedly Assad gassed his own people, the next day Obama came out saying something of the nature of, that's the red line in the sand. You can't, whatever. I'm thinking like red line. Like who the hell gives us the authority to create a line? Nevertheless, a red line in another country. So yeah, but it says blame Iran for EMP blast over America or maybe even North Korea. All the money was lost in EMP blast. Computers fried. Digits went to zero. Sorry, everyone, electrical savings all gone. Peter, man, that's a pretty gruesome scenario there, man. The EMP blast, man. Yeah, that would definitely hurt. And so basically it pays to not have all of your economic energy in digits. So, if you participate in the chat before, Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Mike? It's Eric from Texas.
Eric from Texas. How you doing, boss man? What's in your mind tonight?
I'm calling because you just mentioned about somebody had mentioned about an EMP attack, yes?
Yeah, yep. Go ahead. Somebody mentioned that. That was like, I guess that was either the option or a worst case scenario or something of that nature to create war, I think.
Right. And I just wanted to caveat off of that really quick because I was in an article earlier today. I posted the link in the chat, but because Venezuela has such close ties to Russia right now, I wanted to mention this to you in case you weren't tracking it. But the article, I won't read it all. I'll just read the bullet points at the top. But the title is Trump signs executive order to protect the U.S. from a debilitating EMP attack. And the bullets go, President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Tuesday ordering federal agencies to strengthen the resiliency of critical American infrastructure against electromagnetic pulse attacks. The order is the first ever to establish a comprehensive policy to improve resilience to EMPs, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said. Lastly, the EMP threat has been a hotly debated point, with some arguing it is an existential threat, while others believe it to be a conspiracy theory. But like I said, I just wanted to mention that because the person in the chat just now had mentioned EMP attack, and I was just thinking about that before you had talked about it, and the other person had put it in the chat. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention and the viewers' attention if you guys weren't tracking this already. If it wasn't a serious threat, I highly doubt that President Trump would be signing executive orders to try and facilitate some type of strengthening behind the resiliency of from an attack of an EMP.
Yeah. Now watch this. Is there a slight chance that out of the scare of an EMP, that order probably on page 100 probably had the creation of some type of governing body, a secret type of ordeal that going to enrich certain people and some private. So how do you actually increase or strengthen the resiliency of our infrastructure? Like what does that mean? I know on the surface, I hear it.
That's the thing.
But what does that mean?
The thing, you're probably right. Nobody knows, per se, exactly what was in that order. At least I haven't dug into it, far to get particulars as far as that's concerned. But, just like you were saying, I don't think that, from what I've seen so far and I've heard so far, we are not ready for anything like that. So, I mean, this may be just a facade, I guess, if you will, but from what I've heard, like I said, it would take up to 30 years for us to fully protect country against any sort of EMP attack or any sort of serious EMP attack. Yeah,
and I'm thinking like apart from just electromagnetic pulse, okay, some type of, I don't even know how it goes down, but something that just wipes out all electrical frequencies and electronics and fries circuit boards and like everything we do, especially nowadays, we're in a smart economy, a smart world, smartphones, everything is smart now. It's no way, in my opinion, of protecting all these smart gadgets. And we've been bombarded with smart TVs, smart refrigerators, smart microwaves, so all that stuff is vulnerable. So how really in 30 years would you be able to, EMP proof your microwave, or is it even work? Something like that. Like this EMP threat, I think it's being utilized as a way to scare and to further pump out the narrative that we have enemies, like that Russia is trying to really take us down. And I don't believe that. I think they too busy getting ready for that new world or next world order, as I mentioned, of the One Belt, One Road and all of their agreements. I really don't think they have time to mess with us the way that we're painting them to do, because they're ready to move on from the dollar. So they ain't got time. They ain't got time to, in my opinion, to play games with us. I think we're creating all these scare tactics and global warming and heating and cooling and EMPs. And so I think the mainstream narrative and our governing bodies do a good job of painting the world as an enemy to us when we're bullying and pissing everybody off with sanctions and stuff. So I take all that like, I'm sure it's real, but is it a threat?
I wanted to mention that because of that, this may be the reason that we're giving people the incentive to do it. And I also wanted to mention the fact that, this may not just be a threat from Russia. This could definitely be something that we need to look at coming from China also, because if you, just as you mentioned previously, we've been bombarded by technology. We almost can't exist as a species without it. So if you think about it, wars, in my opinion, now are going to be fought less with artillery and more with information. And if the war is on information and you take out someone's ability to process information, then ultimately you've disabled them more so than bombing. And you follow me? And the thing about that is, as far as the research that I've done so far, and I have a report from I can't place it. I can send it to you if you're interested later on. But the thing about it, what makes it so dangerous is if they were successful in their attempts and they took out a large section of the power grid, the problem wouldn't be the technology that goes down. A lot of people think that, and they hear that, and they, okay, I want to be able to use my cell phone, my cars, yada, 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 but I'll still be alive. Of course, the dangerous part is the fact that our nuclear reactors won't be able to cool themselves. So not only will the power go down, but we won't be able to switch in time enough to backup power in order to cool down those reactors. And when those go off, that's going to take out, or it's possible that it could take out 70-80% of the country.
That right there,
That's something else for you to consider. That's all.
Yeah, I remember years ago the whole Fukushima and how that one little, I don't know, I think it was a leak or whatever, from what we were told, caused all types of damage. And to my knowledge, it's 10, 20, 30 years of nuclear waste that can't be interfered with or touched. So yeah, that's yeah, man.
Just food for thought. Also, if any of your viewers were interested in how to protect any of belong, or they want to put something in their go bag, you can get what's called a Faraday bag. You can find them on Amazon or eBay, and they're just some little pouches that you can slide your electronics and personables in that will be impervious to EMP pulses. So it's just something else I want to throw out there.
What are those called?
Long enough. I really appreciate you having me on, and take care.
My bad. Now, what are those bags called again?
Faraday bags or Faraday cages. If you're stationary, you can buy something larger, and it's an actual cage that's made of either like silver or something that would prevent any sort of electromagnetic waves, RF frequencies, RFID, Wi-Fi. If it's good, then it'll Wi-Fi, which smaller wavelengths. So
okay, good deal, man. So I've heard about those, and I would love to check into them. So, man, I appreciate you for putting that on. Faraday bag. Appreciate that, man.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for calling, Eric.
Yes, sir. No worries. Take care.
Yeah, be good. Thanks. Yeah, man. It's good stuff as always. Always learning something new. I appreciate you guys for shining your light and sharing your expertise, man. That's what I love, man. I really enjoy RTD Live Talks, because the whole show is designed to give the people a voice. And so when people call in or type in the chat and share their experiences, man, that's definitely helpful for a lot of people, because this whole Faraday, I didn't know the word. I knew of it, but didn't know the name of it. So Faraday box is an ammo box. After taking out the rubber seal, you want metal on metal, right, Brandy? Yeah, man. So what are some more of those options, man? Like, I'm trying to figure out what are those options that Trump is talking about, because I'm starting to think he's bluffing. Because it's hard to admit that you were one-upped, or that you were that Trump is not Trump, but Putin is once again probably beating the U.S. at chess with this move. But even though I knew it was coming, and it's still apparently a small presence, but the real question will be now. Spring is here in the country. Here we're going to have our own issues, and we know what's happening. Like, man, I was trying to think the other day of all the things that have come across my psyche over the last couple of weeks of just issues our country have. And I'm thinking, like, I had them all in mind of just thinking, but I can't remember what they are now. But I'm thinking, like, man, it's just too much stuff going on right now to really be able to pay attention to any one thing. And this Venezuela, Russia thing doesn't help at all. It doesn't help at all. It says, Mike, the U.S. surely has EMP weapons themselves. Why doesn't anyone talk about that? Spirit King. Yeah, like, I've heard that we have some tech that's some lasers and some beams that can, melt the human body. And I've heard all types of stuff like that from different commentators, whatever. So we're definitely sitting on something, but it's one of the things, like, if you bring it out, there's no putting it back in the bag. And then if you bring it out, you better believe Russia's going to bring out what they got. And I would imagine, they've been, after the whole Cold War situation, they've been kind of quiet and isolated, just being a happy second world type of nation after the whole crisis they had, to where now Putin, for those that don't know, Putin basically got a lifetime presidency. He got a presidential extension, a pretty hefty contract to stay in office for a couple more years beyond the norm. And President Xi Jinping is president for life. So those guys are going to be around for a while. And Trump going to be out after this term or perhaps the next. And so Putin and Xi Jinping still going to be in office. So whatever Trump going to do to disrupt and to shake up and to drain, he better do it now, because after this term or next term, the next term, I really, and somebody let me know if you're feeling me. I'm not quite sure that our country will ever be what it is now. Like I mention all the time how blessed we are and how we're still living in the best country on the planet as far as the opportunity to speak our minds and to have opportunity in the land of semi-free. And so I'm thinking like after this next go round of this presidential election and the wave of socialism and just big government style policies that's being suggested and that's coming from this whole new, I gave that whole white coat movement of the lady senators and whatnot, representatives that are just so anti or pro-feminism movement type of activity that our country will never be the same. Like from everything from the way the school system has dumbed down the kids, how the college students now. I saw a documentary on Vice, and I meant to post it on the community page, but I did not. But it was a very interesting story, but a sad one at that. That a young man from a middle class, nice family, nice upbringing in the church. I mean, he painted a good story of just him having grown up in a very good household. This cat went to college, graduated with $100 and something thousand worth of debt, and got out of college, was working, but didn't realize that the job he had didn't meet his needs as far as being able to pay back his debt and live a life. So this guy got the idea that I'm about to go down to Panama and smuggle cocaine in his stomach. This young kid, he was 22, 23, whatever, fresh out of college, just dire straits, felt like he wanted to pay off his student loans. So he did research and studied and took all types of time on the internet and everything to find out how to cook coke and slice it, dice it, burn it, flip it. This kid went down there, Panama by himself, bought 48, he ended up swallowing. He chopped up, whatever, swallowed 48 capsules of pure cocaine, and then flew into Florida, thought he was home free, was excited that he about to pay off his student debt. His goal was to pay off his student debt. And he only had like $48,000 worth of coke in his stomach, but his debt was $100,000. So I'm trying to figure out, he must have gonna be doing 2 steps. So anyway, he gets back here within an hour of getting into Florida. He got out the airport terminal, got a taxi to the hotel, and one of the damn bags busted on him. So he started hallucinating and he thought he was gonna die. So long story short, this kid basically did 21 months in jail for smuggling drugs, 2 or 3 things. I'm thinking 21 months, that's pretty nice for 48 bags in your stomach. But long story short, this kid went to school. He did everything he was told, but he was not warned about student debt. So I'm thinking like, how many other people are in that dire strait of just being desperate, knowing that their options are limited because their paychecks won't never be able to pay off their debt as well as provide a living to even start a life. So the young college grads now, this generation of kids that are entering the workforce will never have an opportunity to get ahead in a way like my generation and those that are older than me had a chance of actually having some options, having choices, because they're indebted. They're so indebted. So think about that, how that's going to cause a ripple effect in the very nature of our tax system. I mean, less employment for these kids. I mean, less tax revenue. Then you have the idea that unless the younger generation continue to invest in the equities and bonds and all those 401ks and Roths and IRAs, there's not going to be any fresh money coming into that Ponzi scheme nature of an investment. So if no one's investing, where are those proceeds going to come from? Who's going to buy all those financial instruments as the baby boomers sell them? So if the baby boomers need to sell and cash out, who's going to be buying all that stuff? I know I'm not going to be buying that stuff. I'm not going to buy it until the stock market crashes 80, 90%. That's when I'll probably look to really, make a entry point at a higher level. But so I'm thinking like, so though none of this add up at the end of the day, because this something has to give. And I'm thinking like when I saw that video about this kid smuggling coke in his stomach, I'm thinking like, man, like his mom and dad, man, they sacrificed for this kid. And this kid went over here and started trying to be a drug lord, thinking he can get away with it. It's bad, man, real bad. So once again, I'm ranting. I apologize for that. And as always, it looks like there's approximately 100 or so people on the live stream. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, the number 1-313-467-0027 is the number if you want to call in. Be on here for a couple more minutes. But as always, I want to encourage you guys to donate. Donate a simple thumbs up. That's all you got to do. All I want is a thumbs up and just show your support. If you're enjoying the back and forth, if you're enjoying just being in the chat, hanging out with some good people tonight, don't be afraid to give us a thumbs up. Appreciate every single one of them. Says United States will be super blessed. We have spread the gospel around the world. Mo, Mr. Onfang, 100%, man. And the thing is, we've spread the gospel, but it hasn't reached every nation just yet. And on top of that, to go even deeper, what actually is the message that we are spreading? Because when you look at the definition of gospel, referring to good news, we have a variety of different forms of gospel nowadays. So that's kind of alarming as well, because we can be spreading the gospel around the world, but if it's the wrong message, it's of none effect. The United States is the daughter of Babylon. Yeah, whoa. Hello. Okay. All empires rise and fall. The American empire is collapsing just like all empires before her. Yeah, man. That's real talk. That is real talk. It says Putin and Trump, both anti-globalist. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I hope that is the case. America has lost its grace. It is no longer Christian. It is now Zionist, and its allegiance is to the Moshiach. That could be the case. That could be the case. I don't doubt it, man. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, we know what's going on. We know how all this is not really operating in our best interest. So the question is, what are you doing about it? And as I mentioned before, for those that might just be joining us, everything we're experiencing, everything we're witnessing is all interconnected to the nature of our current world order. The current world order has to do with the Federal Reserve note, aka the dollar. Everything that we're experiencing is about the removal or the dying down of the dollar. Nations are heavily based there. The nations are fed up with using Federal Reserve note as a reserve, and so there will be changes pretty soon. Things a problem is not so many churches are 501c hush tax. Yeah, that's a big issue. I had several issues with that directly. Trump would invoke the NDAA Act soon. James Moore, NDAA. Shine some light on that subject, my friend. Sounds like a Breaking Bad story. Yeah, man. I disagree. I disagree. Share some information with us. National Defensive Authorization Act. Okay, that could be interesting. And so it looks like there's a super chat, but I'm well behind in the chat. Insurgent number 1. Due to the nature of your text, I have to put that on timeout for a minute, my friend. So you can take your time on continue to try to post it. They won't go through. James Moore, Mike, thank you, brother, for caring enough to spread the truth, man. My pleasure. I feel it's my responsibility. Toshiba Mike 2 says, what gospel? What gospel? I can touch on that in 1 second. I had a call. Call got canceled. I can touch on that in reference in 1 second. So I'm trying to get to, give me a call back. I apologize, because I have to answer it from my other phone before I cancel it from this phone. So I missed a lot of chats, but I got Gregory Watt. Says the young workforce has forsaken trades like HVAC, plumbing, carpentry, etc. Gregory, man, that's 100% right. And I think that kids or young individuals or people in general who are willing to go that route right now will definitely be in a great position in the days ahead, because that line of work, anything where you use your hands, I believe will definitely be of use, because, as a society in whole, most people would rather pay a fee, pay some money than have or make the time to actually learn for themselves. So I agree 100%. I agree 100% because I know how I am. Oh, little knickknack stuff. It takes a couple minutes, but just a couple minutes, man. It's just like it just seems like it takes forever. Just because I haven't been too good at that. I usually wait till the last minute when things break officially. Then I address it. Hello, call. I'm sorry. Hello, call. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Georgia.
I'm sorry. Okay, what's your name? I'm sorry.
I said my name's Mike Bruce.
Mike, bro, how you doing, my friend? Mike, what's on your mind tonight, man?
Well, you're absolutely right with the dollar being the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the college issue goes,
Mm-hmm.
my wife wanted him to go to college. I talked her out of sending him to college so that he would get a huge debt.
Yeah.
He currently owns his own house,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a truck driver.
Yeah.
So, we do, in school, we do not teach our children about money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that became very apparent to me in the crash of 2008 because I was heavily in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, I owe nobody for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Not my house, not my boat, not my cars, not anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about watching Mike Maloney and people like you, Silver Stacker. Because actually, I got your name from another YouTube. And his name was Silver Stacker 101.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned you one time, and I started watching you. I guess I've been watching you for about a year.
Well, thanks, Mike.
And tonight I finally said, this guy's spot on. And as far as the NDAA,
Yeah.
that's implements that's been done for years,
Mm-hmm.
10 years or better.
Yeah.
But it basically says the government owes everything you got.
You said the government owns everything?
And I just wanted, yeah.
Okay, so I gotta get brushed up.
If you
I'm a prepper, mm-hmm.
straight up, and I have food storage, and I have other necessary essentials, medical and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if something was to happen, the government can actually come in and take my supplies because they would say I'm hoarding.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that happened in Venezuela when the government starts going in and saying, well, you can't, it's called price controls.
Yeah.
You can't own certain things.
Yeah. Now that's ringing a bell. Now I remember hearing about.
Do what?
I know so what you're talking about now it does ring a bell because I remember hearing about that. So yeah, I appreciate you for shining some light on that for me.
Do what now?
No, I said no. As you were mentioning that the NDAA, the about hoarding and the government having the opportunity to seize your property and whatnot under that particular act there. Right. So as you mentioned that, I recall some things that I heard, but I never really dive into it in a deep nature. So I appreciate you for mentioning that.
Right, and this is not anything new. It's
Mm-hmm.
just been over 10 years.
Yeah.
And but we are only as free as our government allows us to be.
Right. Right. I agree. I do agree.
I would like to talk to you one time when you're not on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, man.
this is a good number. One day I'll give you a call.
Yeah, shoot me an email, man, and we'll definitely connect with you. I appreciate you being brave enough to call in and share your thoughts, and I appreciate you for being a part of the community, man. So shoot me an email. Go to rethinkingthedollar.com. Look in the top left-hand corner. You see the email address, and shoot me an email with chit chat.
Okay.
All right, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Good stuff as always, man. Mike, I appreciate you calling in. Gregory Watt, smash the like button and make the algorithms happy. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, so we're approaching that 55-minute mark. It looks like it's been great. Once again, hanging out with you guys, man. Once again, there's no show without people on the other side willing to share their thoughts and as well as call in. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. And as always, as Greg we mentioned, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up. You know, it does mean a lot and helps the algorithm, all that stuff like that as well. So basically makes the channel a little bit more discoverable so people can come and join us and, you know, find out what's going on over here in RTD. So other than that, look forward to bringing you guys some more news and updates. Definitely, probably next couple of days, video streams will be a little different. Taking a little R&R time, just relax and hang out with the fam a little bit. So definitely to get my streaming in and go from there. But other than that, everybody be blessed, be safe. As always, scroll down below, take advantage of some of those free resources I have down there. And for those that are interested in getting their weight up, don't be afraid in joining the RTD Gold team. It's growing and it's kind of fun learning about all types of things happening in the gold world. So I'm glad that I came across that because I'm getting my weight up. It looks like even more so, even at the right time. So I'm enjoying the process. But other than that, everybody be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later.